James Comer issued the subpoena Tuesday, ordering Bondi to sit for a deposition April 14th. Comer says Bondi has valuable insight into probes surrounding the convicted offender. The move comes after 5 Republicans joined Democrats earlier this month to call for her testimony. I'm Bree Wood with What's Trending.
Then hear us on WBOK1230.com.
Yo, turn it up. It's Gerod on the air, spitting truth in the booth. We ain't going nowhere. New Orleans City got us hard in the beat, but corruption creeping in, gotta take back the street. But corruption creeping in, gotta take back the street. From the French Quarter vibes to the Ninth Ward grind, he's the voice of the people, yo, he's one of a kind. Talking about the struggle, the hustle, the pain, but with each word he drops, he's bringing power to the game. Gerod on the radio, calling out the lies, bringing light to the dark, keeping hope in our eyes. He's the voice of the people, making changes unfold. In the city of NOLA, we're reclaiming our soul. Try to silence the truth, but he's loud and clear. From the bayou to the block, everyone can hear. Got the people united, it's a movement, no doubt. With his mic in hand, he's breaking all the clout. City eat the official scheming, yeah, they playing it slick. But Gerod's on the line and he's ready to kick. For the schools and the streets, he's fighting the fight. With a heart full of passion, he's igniting the night. Gerod on the radio, calling out the lies, bringing light to the dark, keeping hope in our eyes. He's the voice of the people, making changes unfold. In the city of NOLA, we're reclaiming our soul. From the jazz in the streets to the gumbo pot, he's the pulse of the city, giving all he's got. Together we rise, united we stand. With Gerod on the radio, we're taking back our land. So tune in, y'all, let the truth resonate. With Gerod on the mic, we're rewriting our fate. In New Orleans, the power is ours to embrace. Keep it real, keep it loud, let's uplift this place. In the streets to the gumbo pot, he's the pulse of the city, giving all he's got. Together we rise, united we stand. With Gerod on the radio, we're taking back our land. So tune in, y'all, let the truth resonate. With Gerod on the mic, we're rewriting our fate. In New Orleans, the power is ours to embrace. Keep it real, keep it loud, let's uplift this place. Gerod on the radio, calling out the lies, bringing light to the dark, keeping hope in our eyes. He's the voice of the people, making changes unfold. In the city of NOLA, we're reclaiming our soul. Yeah, tune in out, let the truth resonate. With Gerod on the mic, we're rewriting our fate. In New Orleans, the power is ours to embrace. Keep it real, keep it loud, let's uplift this place. Gerod on the radio, calling out the lies, bringing light to the dark, keeping hope in our eyes. He's the voice of the people, making changes unfold. In the city of NOLA, we're reclaiming our soul.
Are you waiting for me to say something?
Yes, of course we are.
Of course.
It's your moment.
Gerod on the mic.
Go on, hater.
We're rewriting our fate.
In New Orleans, got a hater. Hater.
Keep up, I'll just cut it.
You
know I'll
missed
do
your
it.
window. You missed your window.
You missed it now.
My wiggle.
Your window. You know, you usually participate at that
The
point.
one you
There.
usually jump out of.
Nah,
Duel.
only had 5 seconds left.
That's it. What's happening with you? How you
Oh,
doing?
nothing. It's hump day.
Yesterday was Taco Tuesday. Did you eat some tacos yesterday?
No, I actually, what I got? I had burritos. I had two bean burritos.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. I ran for the border.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet you did.
I was self-propelled.
Oh, baby.
We got you.
We got it.
Wait, how do you say it?
That ain't how I said. You ain't gonna put that on me. That's you.
No.
Be like, ew.
See, he's about to make the noise. He always does it, but
I don't know.
nah.
I'm not doing it in front of the lady.
Uh-huh.
The lady's right here. What's wrong with you?
As
You
if
won't
y'all
do that,
don't
but you
act
do
up
all
in
other
front of
kinds
me.
of stuff.
As
I
if
almost-
y'all don't act up in front of me.
All
Oh
the
my
almost
time,
God.
cussed.
every day, every
Oh
day.
my God, every day. Mhm.
Woo. All right, folks, welcome to Wednesday. It is Over the Hump Day, and it is the reality check, the attorney extraordinaire, along with yours truly, in the building, Suzette Bagnaris, Gerard
Woo, woo.
Stevens, and baby, it's interesting in this world today, ain't it?
People tired. I'm people.
I was tired, boss.
I was tired, boss. That's mine.
You know, G, today I just want to,
Sleep.
I got to speak from the heart today. I am just
Wait.
so disappointed.
So what was that
And-
all those other times?
Well, yeah, but I am so disappointed in the legal profession right now. After practicing law for 34 years, I am seeing some things in the legal profession that just are deeply troubling.
Really?
You know, I'm sure everybody has seen in the news today the Slammer case here in New Orleans. You know, and then you put that also looking at what's happening at the Supreme Court, what's happening in federal courts around this country. And I just have to say, I'm deeply disappointed in what parts of our legal system are becoming. I came into this profession believing in something, believing that the law should be used as a tool for justice and accountability and protecting the rights and the voices of the most vulnerable among us. But what we are seeing in some corners of this profession is something very different. We are seeing lawyers who are accused of putting profit over integrity, systems that sometimes seem to reward gamesmanship over truth, and decisions from courts that leave everyday people questioning whether justice is still possible. I want to talk a little bit about this Slammer case that's in the news today. If what is being alleged is true, then we're not talking about lawyering. We're not talking about advocacy.
Talking about mafia.
We're talking about organized crime.
Yeah, straight mafia.
Okay? I mean, it's organized crime.
For those of us that may not be in the know, could you please explain what the
Yeah.
Slammer case is?
Let me explain. So,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
why are you laughing?
I said it as diplomatical as possible.
He's like, wait. Say it like you really mean it. What you talking about?
Yes.
What you talking about, Suzette?
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. For those of you that may not know.
Well, no, I think that was a very valid question.
I thought he was speaking for himself.
It was a very valid question. So let me be clear. Let me be very clear. I think Wick asked a very valid question. I think you're just sleepy and delirious.
No, it was the
The
way
way
that
you're
he
laughing.
said it without saying, what you talking about?
I didn't want to sound ignorant.
No, you did well. That's why I'm laughing. I'm laughing. I'm not laughing because you sounded ignorant. I'm laughing because you put it in.
I thought about
So-
what I said before I said it.
Look,
did
a
well.
slammer case is not a legal term. It's street slang that has come up in federal court prosecutions here in New Orleans. A slammer refers to a person who intentionally stages a car accident,
Oh,
usually involving an 18-wheeler, to create fake injury claims.
Okay, now I know what you're talking- now I
This
know
is
what you're
not
talking
new.
about.
This
Right.
is something that's been copied.
Yes, and according to the testimony in recent federal cases, people were recruited to ride in vehicles as passengers. The driver intentionally slammed into a tractor trailer, hence the name Slammer. Everyone in the vehicle would then claim injuries, even if they weren't seriously hurt. They had doctors in cahoots who were writing these medical reports as if these people were seriously injured. And they were making these false claims to these insurance companies and making millions upon millions of dollars. The participants were directed and funneled to certain lawyers and certain law firms. And this was just a repetitive scheme. And the money was divided among the driver, the slammer, the passengers, the lawyers, and the people who actually ran the cases to the lawyer's office. So if proven, this is insurance fraud, conspiracy, and a federal crime. But what we've seen in this particular slammer case in federal court is it got so deep that this case involved witness intimidation, violence, and even murder to try to cover their tracks.
Yeah, I remember when that guy got murdered. I remember
Oh my
that.
goodness!
But the thing is, how can you? I can't fathom. How can you bring yourself
To run into
to
a
run
truck?
into 18? That's what I'm saying. You're taking your
Most
life
people that you
into
know
your
and
hand.
I know try to get away from them. They don't want
Yeah.
to ride beside them.
I
You talking
don't
about
like
people
riding
that's
on the side
going
of
to
'em.
ride into them.
I'll gun away from them. I don't
Yeah.
like being in an 18-wheeler.
Now, a lot of people really don't understand that part either. When they run into the vehicle,
Yeah.
run into the truck and they pull over and they run up to the side of the truck and tell the truck driver, hey, you hit me. Somebody else who's a tailor, who's driving in another vehicle, pulls in front and says,
Yeah,
hey, I saw you
Mhm.
hit him. And they're part of it too. And then they give their eyewitness account, supposedly, to the police officer or the person that's taking the report, saying that this person driving this truck did hit this person.
So one of the, big players in this was a guy named Cornelius Garrison. And his girlfriend, recently testified in federal court. Her name was Juanisha Winchester. And she testified about, what he did for a living and that he basically ran his cases to Vanessa Mata, a Kenner injury attorney now accused of orchestrating the sweeping fraud scheme. And her fiance was a guy named Sean Alfordish, who was a disbarred attorney. And they were sending their cases to him. And he was, paying them for the cases, for these stage cases. The other group is alleged to be a LeBeau guy. His last name is LeBeau, and he was bringing his cases to the King firm. And more specifically, he was bringing his cases to Jason Giles over at the King firm. Interestingly, right after the indictment and before Garrison got to testify, he was murdered. And the allegation is that Alfordish, a disbarred attorney who was engaged to Mata with a sidekick or a friend, an associate called Leon Chunky Parker, killed him to keep him silent. I mean, it is really deep over there.
It's gangster.
Yeah, I mean, and so Damien LeBeau is the LeBeau's guy's name. He was accused of funneling his cases to Giles at the King firm, and Garrison was accused of funneling his cases to Mata. I don't think it's going to end there. I think there are going to be other lawyers who are going to end up getting named.
We seen them walking down there to Poetry Street. We seen them walking, but they have not been a part of the trial as of yet. But do you think there's going to be, other persons later, since they're going to try the main folks here? And I know Jason.
I think they are. I think in order to try to save themselves, the guys who were running the cases and the lawyers that they did catch are going to start, talking about other people. And this is going to end up being bigger. But, what's shameful about it is some people already have negative views of attorneys. I hear it all the time when I am selecting juries from my cases. I ask them, what do you think about lawyers in general? And I'm just very concerned that, this is going to be in the front of people's minds who are sitting on jury duty, and it's going to undermine the public trust in the legal profession. When you have allegations like this, it can also drive up insurance costs, give critics ammunition to attack the entire justice system and all the lawyers that are involved. And it's going to have backlash on people who were really involved
Well, they
in
said
an
already,
18-wheeler accident
Yeah, they
and
said
really
already.
were injured.
They said already that these cases have driven up insurance costs because of the millions of dollars that has come out of these big 18-wheeler cases that they've tried already, and supposedly they just went on ahead and settled and got big payouts. So they say that this has caused a lot of influx in insurance rates for the state of Louisiana, not just here, but the state of Louisiana. And I was thinking to myself, if they got millions and millions of dollars, make them pay it back. What's going to be restitution? Now, again, I make myself perfectly clear, and this is, I don't know if this is just me saying it just because I know Jason Giles. I didn't never think that he would be involved in anything like this.
I suspected that something odd was going on.
You did?
Because every Friday Ruth Chris used to be the one on Poydras used to be the hot spot, right?
Right.
And Giles and his partners would come in, throw a credit card on the counter, and they were buying drinks and food for all the lawyers, all the judges, in Roots. And they were doing it weekly. They were buying tickets for different things, to concerts, to football games, things like that. I mean, they were showing a lot of money and spending a lot of money.
And then started putting a lot of television commercials.
Yes, and
those ain't cheap.
Growing exponentially. And you just when a firm comes out of nowhere and all of a sudden they're balling like that, you have to wonder what's really going on there.
So you think this got an impact on other attorneys in the way that things are?
I think it is. I really do think it is. And I'm also concerned about litigants. The more you see these kinds of things in the news, the more you start to question legitimate cases with legitimate injuries at the courthouse. So I'm really asking people, don't judge the whole lot of cases that are filed in court, particularly those dealing with 18-wheeler cases, based upon what you're reading in the news, dealing with a few bad actors who really were not legitimate personal injury attorneys, but really were involved in what looks like an organized crime ring. I just don't want this to...
Let's make sure we say that, it looks that way. It's allegedly.
Allegedly. I just don't want this to have a backlash on people who really deserve justice and who really, deserve to have their day in court. And I just don't want everybody to be judged by this.
Well, I know that's not with your firm, you and Emil. I know that. I've heard Emil.
You've seen us decline cases.
I've seen you decline. You declined the case today.
Yeah, we declined the case today because it just didn't smell right.
And I've seen Emil get mad if you don't follow up with folks. So.
Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't smell right as a lawyer, let me tell young lawyers, if it just doesn't sound right, if it's just not adding up right, trust your gut. Don't take it because you don't want to end up involved in something like this. And build your firm one day at a time, one case at a time. Don't get greedy. Don't cut corners, and do what you're supposed to do for people. I also want to talk about just negligence. In the last 2 years, I've gotten more calls from people who entrusted lawyers to do their job, and the lawyers didn't do the job. And then the lawyers lied about not doing the job, creating a legal malpractice case.
And I'd be looking at you with the spook face. Can they do this?
I know. One such case we had in the last 2 years involved a woman who retains an attorney to represent her in connection with the slip and fall case. That attorney told her that he was gathering her medical records, that he was filing her lawsuit. He even told her he was attending hearings on her behalf and status conferences on her behalf. He was getting her a trial date. He kept texting her whenever she'd ask him what's going on with my case. He had this long, explanation about everything that was going on in the case. Come to find out, he never even filed the woman's case.
Nope.
He was lying all along.
For 2 years.
For 2 years. And she comes to my office with all of these text messages and tells me, could you just check the record, please? Could you just tell me what's really happening with my case? We look in the record, nothing has been filed. The petition he filed the petition, but he never served it. He never did anything in the case. So everything else he was telling this woman was a complete lie.
And this is supposedly be a prominent.
Oh, it's off public record, so they can go look it up. It was a high-ranking member of the Cantrell administration. I mean, it's just really, really sad. So we had that last year that we resolved. Then we had another case involving a very prominent, large, predominantly white law firm that was prosecuting a case for a guy, and they were defending him actually, and then they failed to file a critical defense which could have gotten rid of the plaintiff's entire claim. never told him that this defense was available to him. And then when he subsequently learned about it, they continued to lie about it. We won a substantial legal malpractice judgment against them, in December. And today we got another call about another case where somebody, their lawyer said, oh, well, you got to dismiss this case because it has no merit. Come to find out, the case got dismissed because the lawyers failed to file an opposition to a summary judgment. So the case got dismissed. I mean, it's just very sad. It's really having an impact on me, today in particular, as I'm looking at what's in the news and I'm seeing the calls we've been getting in the last 2 years. Do your job. If you're not going to do the job well, don't take the case.
Stop practicing.
Stop practicing. If you don't want to practice, don't practice. If you're not going to practice, don't practice.
You're going to get disbarred anyway.
You're going to get disbarred anyway, but you're also going to prejudice some people's rights. And it's just very, very sad. I don't know what's going on, but we're getting more and more calls now about lawyers who are just dropping the ball.
I would think that these would be young, inexperienced attorneys, but they're not.
No. One of the lawyer we went to trial against recently, was a very seasoned partner in the law firm, and his junior associate told him, hey, this defense is available to him and it would bar the plaintiff's claim and we should file it. And he told that lawyer, don't talk about that again.
Right.
We're not doing that. I mean, it's seasoned lawyers making these
bad decisions.
Very
bad decisions. Speaking of bad decisions, though, the state has really made some really bad decisions. As Louisiana, I'm going to put this in the same terms as Louisiana turns. And that building, which was the Harvey building where they had DCFS, the Department of Motor Vehicles, and several different state organizations in Harvey for Marrero, Gretna, Algiers, everybody on the West Bank to really take care of your state stuff, whether it's your Department of Child Protection Services, whether it was the Department of Motor Vehicles, didn't matter. All of us knew where that building was on the West Bank Expressway, and you would go to it to take care of your business. Well, it has appeared to us, and I can say allegedly because we don't have the full report yet, that building was contaminated with asbestos. And that asbestos was not told to the people that were working there about that asbestos. Let me put it in that category. They were not told about that contamination. And it's amazing to us that we're just finding out about how contaminated that building was from almost 10, 15, 20 years. And we still are working and hearing from people that are telling us, I worked in that building during that time frame, and I got to tell you, something's wrong with me. And just to hear the stories from the people that are saying something's wrong with my lungs, something's wrong with this, something's wrong with that. That's why I'm glad this office has taken the lead and trying to figure out what's going on with this building, and finding out a whole lot of other information as well, hiding information.
Yeah. Today we ended up receiving a document that someone was able to get their hands on that was really kind of shocking. It was called the Asbestos Awareness Training Packet with regard to the Harvey State Office Complex located at 2150 West Bank Expressway in Harvey, Louisiana. And in this document, it details the presence of asbestos in the building. And it even has photographs of the asbestos that was in the building and identifies the spots where the asbestos was. And then it goes the level of asbestos in the building. And, the exact location of the asbestos in the building. And what we are understanding is that these documents were given to upper level management, but never given to the employees in the building to make them aware of the presence of asbestos and the levels of asbestos. The asbestos was activated by the building not being watertight. The windows in the back of the building
Leaking.
allowed water to come in and the front of the building as well, which triggered the asbestos and made it not be encapsulated and available, bioavailable for people to be exposed. We have been called by several people who have contracted asbestos-related illness as a result of working in that building, and coming in contact with the asbestos fibers. We were also given photographs of the asbestos and tags in the building that literally say asbestos, red stickers, beware, that were in the attic space, as I'm understanding it. And employees were even sent up there, maintenance crews were sent up there to do various things without being told of the hazard, with no protective gear. The state then decided to move the people out of this building, citing that it would be cheaper to move them to another building and then tear this building down and rebuild the building. That's the story they gave the people, not telling them that they were moving them because of environmental hazards.
And never tore that building down to do another building or put another building up, and didn't renovate it as well because of costs.
Exactly. So we're coming in possession of very disturbing documents, photographs, and narratives about an intentional and or negligent plan to not tell the people what they were being exposed to.
And they're exposed to some real nasty stuff.
And are very sick.
Very sick. I've had several of those folks, not calling anyone's name. I had several folks that wanted to know more about it, to call in and just say, I knew something was wrong with that building because I still can't breathe right today. I'm like, really? Yeah. So they've had some type of issues with their health since they have left this building. And I think it's only right that we find out what kind of crap was in this building in the first place. We even found out that, when they said they were going to tear it down and build another one, that the cost had gone up because of the fact that they were going to have to tin it to tear it down. And anybody know what I'm talking about with construction? That means you have to put a big tent over the entire building before you can start demolition. So that was going to cost a whole lot of money. All right, y'all. More coming up in a minute.
Profits over people.
Yep. There you go.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
The Historic New Orleans Collection presents a new exhibition open through June 7th, 2026. The Trail They Blazed. Built collaboratively with people who participated in the local civil rights movement, the Trail They Blazed presents stories of social and racial justice straight from the people who lived them. Listen to leaders tell their stories of resistance and persistence in their own voices, recorded by the Historic New Orleans Collection. Plan your visit to 520 Royal Street in the French Quarter and reserve your free tickets at hnoc.org today.
This is The Law in Your Legacy. I'm attorney Pete Hamilton.
I'm attorney Ryan Hamilton.
When it comes to family
estate planning, should you go with a will or a trust?
A will is like leaving instructions to the court. It tells them who gets what, but your family still has to go through a succession, which can be costly and time-consuming.
A trust, on the other hand, avoids court altogether. So when the time comes, everything transfers smoothly to your loved ones.
It's a little more work up front, but way less hassle and expense later. Plan smart, save time, and take care of your family.
This is not legal advice. That's just a tip brought to you by Liberty Bank and Trust. For more information, go to libertybank.net or contact us at 504-915-5016.
Interest rates and inflation are out of control. Is your credit card debt also out of control? It's time to resolve your debt and take back control for a lot less than what you owe. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, then you need to call us right now. Debt Fix Pros can significantly reduce the amount you owe, and you could be debt-free faster than you think.
I knew we had to do something. Our debt was growing.
It was getting out of control, and we just didn't know what to do.
We saw an ad for Debt Fix Pros. We called, and they showed us how fast they could get us out of debt.
It really was amazing, and now we're back in control.
Call now, and we'll show you how easy it is to fix your debt. The call and consultation are free. Call Debt Fix Pros right now at 800-311-5977. That's 800-311-5977. 800-311-5977.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. It is Wednesday. Over the Hump Day is in full effect. The attorney extraordinaire is in the building, y'all. Suzette Bagnaris. I'm Gerard Stevens. And Chuck, you on line one. What's going on in Monroe?
Hello. How are you three doing down there in the Crescent City? Doing fine up here after a day of work. And just tuning into what you all were just talking about. Ms. Bagnaris, good evening to you. And you were just talking about with the situation down with some of these cases. And you were just talking about the people end up not being trustworthy of attorneys. And I know you and your husband don't want that kind of thing attached to you all, to your profession. That's just like anyone that goes into law enforcement, anything. When I start hearing people say, "Oh, I'm majoring in criminal justice," like you all say, you majored in. What you majored in before going to law school and becoming attorneys, and automatically when people say they want to be an attorney, people go, that's what goes through people's minds. And just think back to that movie. You remember the movie The Firm, John Grisham's book.
Right.
And, Tom Cruise played in the movie, and I saw that movie back in 1993, same year I came out of high school. I graduated from high school in 1993, and I remember that movie was out in Jurassic Park. I saw all those movies at the theater. And what happened? I know there were a lot of attorneys who didn't care for that movie when it was released. I said, well, it just kind of started hitting. But there were some that I talked to around here who were attorneys. They said, well, it's kind of brought to light many things. And they said that doesn't. They said, but don't put everybody in that same in that same category. That's just like culturally. We as a race, we don't want everybody to stereotype every black person as being the same, and we don't want to, if it's a person that's Spanish or Italian or anything, you don't want that kind of story. Even in religion, you don't want your religion to be straight. Just because someone's a certain religion's had a bad reputation, that people start stereotyping everyone in the faith as being that way. I didn't mean to go a long time.
Chuck, but I do believe that everybody in every business should have their own personal attorney.
Yeah.
And the reason I feel that way is because you see it every day when folks get in trouble or need somebody to do something, especially here when you're talking about successions or something of that sort. The first question we always ask is, an attorney that I can talk to?
That's to be the first thing.
So
anything you do.
And the reason why I say I think everybody should have their own personal attorney is the fact that, more than likely you're not just signing a retainer for an attorney just to say, I'm your attorney. You sign a retainer and the hourly wage or whatever it is that you have when it's personal injury because of the fact that if something happens, you can talk to the attorney. This is your attorney. And you sit down and you try to work your own deal with your attorney, whether it is hourly wage or whether they are going to do some type of fee for this, whether it be, a percentage of whatever it is that they're going to take over for you.
But you expect them to do what they committed to do.
Right.
And, trust is everything in the attorney-client relationship.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody hires a lawyer, they're not just hiring a professional. They're placing their freedom sometimes, their finances, their family, and sometimes their future in that lawyer's hands. And this is one of the few relationships where a person comes to you when they're at their most vulnerable because they're hurt, confused, overwhelmed, their freedom jeopardized. And they're trusting you to guide them through something they don't understand with the utmost honesty, integrity, and professionalism that you can bring to the table. And that's why we call it a fiduciary relationship. And when that trust is broken, it doesn't just affect, one case. It damages the client, it damages the system, and it damages the entire reputation of the profession sometimes, like we're seeing with these slammer cases. And and once that trust is broken, justice becomes harder to reach for those of us who are doing it honestly and with integrity. Because when we're standing in front of a potential jury and we're trying to select people and see who's going to be good to sit on this particular case, we're having to ask those questions like, what do you think of lawyers? Are you going to hold your opinion with respect to the profession against my client? Or are you going to be able to sit here and listen to the facts and listen to the evidence and judge this one case based upon its merit? Or are your views of lawyers being dishonest or lawyers being greedy or, whatever it is you think about lawyers going to impact your ability to be fair to this one litigant in this courtroom? And it's just sad that we have to spend so much time going through those kinds of opinions when we're standing up for our clients, be it on the plaintiff side or the defense side, just because people have such a bad impression of lawyers. And seeing this kind of stuff in the news and seeing the way the U.S. Supreme Court is acting and how it looks like the U.S. Supreme Court's bought and paid for, it's really not helping.
You're exactly right, Ms. Bagneris. We've seen this in in SCOTUS. We've seen it. This is supposed to be an independent institution, not about your political affiliation. It's about following the letter of the law. And it seems like these people got on the court and have forgotten it. And we're seeing it through like Clarence Thomas or any of them. We've seen Sam Alito or any John Robbins, Brett Kavanaugh, and what's the lady one? She's from down in your area. That's on the court. Amy Coney Barrett, and you just start seeing a lot of that, and it started kind of, and then that's what's happening now, and looking at who's in the White House now, putting these people on the court and putting them there, going to appointing them, and just because of his personal what he wants personally, and that's not what it's supposed to be about. And then when they start making a decision that he doesn't like, and he starts saying all kinds of nasty things, that's not what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be an independent institution.
And then you look at Pam Bondi. I mean, that's a disappointment too. I mean, here you are, you're the Attorney General, and look what you're doing. I mean, it's just very embarrassing. I mean, the Supreme Court is supposed to be the highest, most independent court in the land. It's supposed to stand above politics, pressure, and influence. And as a member of the U.S. Supreme Court bar, I used to take pride in that. And I used to be very excited to see decisions come out of the Supreme Court and waiting to read them and waiting to discuss them with colleagues. But now, every time I hear there's a new opinion that came out from the Supreme Court, I don't want to read it.
No.
I mean, because I know it's going to be an embarrassment. I know it's going to turn back the hands of time. It's just, it's very disappointing.
All right, Chuck. Let me get
all
to
right.
these other
you
calls,
all take
man.
care. It's always great conversing with you all.
Same
you
here,
care.
brother. Be good. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Mr. Elmore.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good.
Yeah. I commend you, Ms. Bagneris, because you are a good attorney and you have ethics. I mean, but again, I think what's going on today, we live in a society where ethics is not like it used to be. We all consider everybody, it's like calling a contractor. You assume a contract's ethical and he's going to be professional, how he handle. And he's scheming and scamming and playing all kind of games. And what we're finding out, at least I'm learning as I get older, a lot of people playing games, they're not up and up. They never got their license the way you did. They never studied the way you did. They never took their profession like you did. That's what's going on. People are not taking their profession seriously because society is not. And that young man that talked to you a little while ago, he's very right on time. Look at your president; it's not ethical. So when people look at your leaders, it's not ethical. Your attorney general is ethical. Your head people is not ethical. They're not qualified. It looks like we're in a society. Unfortunately, we're in a society where people, I call it a microwave society. Nobody wants to be honest. Nobody wants to be ethical. Nobody wants to be truthful. Everybody wants to scheme, scam, play games. They want quick money. And I think some people are getting in trouble because of it. And unfortunately, you have attorneys going to jail behind it because, they've been doing it for so long, but sooner or later they're going to get caught,
Well, I was showing Gerod last week. I was talking to he and my other paralegal, Stacy, about the discipline that comes out every month against lawyers. We get an email. It tells us what lawyers have been disciplined and what they've been disciplined for. And as I was going through each thing that a lawyer either got suspended or disbarred for, it was stealing money from a client, taking money from a client and not working on the client's file. It just failure to communicate with the client. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how people can do that ethically. Where is their character? I don't. Why did you go into this profession if you don't want to serve people?
Well, you just said it. You see, the thing about it, what I love about you, you have character. So happens to be an attorney. I'm not an attorney. I'm an engineer, but I think I have character and I have ethics. And I'm not gonna go deal with a customer and go overboard with a price when I know that's not ethical. It's not professional. So again, all professions have a lot of dishonesty, if you will, and they're not up and up in terms of how they got their license or their certifications.
And the other thing I'm finding is when these people are calling our office because a lawyer has done them wrong, they're telling us how hard it is to find a lawyer who's willing to represent them in a legal malpractice case. They're saying, some lawyers don't even want to talk about it because they don't want to sue another lawyer. Wrong is wrong. I don't know why anybody would try to cover up for another lawyer who has deprived somebody of their rights. But that seems to be what these people are telling us, that they're having a hard time finding somebody who's willing to admit that another lawyer messed up to represent them.
But again, I think it's what we discussing. People is not dealing with truthfulness, character, what is the moral standard you have. It's outstanding. You're like, I think everybody has this kind of way of thinking, but based on what I'm hearing, this is common sense. Not everybody has the same character and professionalism that you have.
Well, everybody's character and professionalism may be different. I don't know two people.
Yeah, exactly.
Are the same. So, but
right,
when you don't have any, you don't have not even a mark of it in your character, in your DNA. I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, I fully understand what you're saying. That's why, I'm mentioning that it's you wouldn't think in this day and age that people would be like that, but it's the times that we live in right now.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Elmo. Thank you, sir.
Brother.
Appreciate
you.
Ms.
McNair, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, T-Bone.
Hey, good evening. How y'all doing?
Good, man. What's happening?
All right. Thanks for putting me through, Wick. G, counselor. I think what's happened is that we're seeing the degradation of the strength of what a lawyer means to the society. Because one model that all lawyers know and that they're supposed to live by in terms of their profession is no one is above the law. And that has been blown out of the water by the current political climate. You have someone who is convicted of 34 counts in a court of his peers running the highest office in the country. I'll say what you will about him not being able to paint the Supreme Court or the legislative branch, but because the ideology is overriding logic and legal, that's become the topic of the day. Because basically what's happened is they have replaced the rational with their feelings. You understand? It's not logical for somebody who has a criminal case, who was convicted criminal to run the highest office in the land as commander-in-chief, being able to wield the powers of the military, being able to control the legislature and the highest court of the country. It's reprehensible that this entire country is caught up in the whirlwind of this thing.
If the Supreme Court is not independent, the entire system is at risk. Our system of government is built on balance. Yeah.
Sorry?
Our system of government is built on balance, you know. We're supposed to have the legislative branch making the laws, the executive branch enforcing the laws, and the judicial branch interpreting the laws. But it all seems to have been blurred.
Yep.
The lines are completely blurred. And, you know, it looks like billionaires are really running the country. Not the legislative branch, the executive branch, or the judicial branch. Billionaires have bought the country. And they're running the country.
Along with Israel.
Yeah, along with Israel.
Israel
have bought the country.
Solely people in them. A bunch of professions where people have degraded those particular professions. Excuse me. Doctors. Yeah, people that got out of medical school that still don't know what they're doing. Can't stand the sight of blood. IT people who just pass tests, but when they get out there, they can't fix anything. They can't do what their job function is. And yet now are seeing that up front with the legal system, that you have lawyers that's willing to go beyond what they should legally to protect the client. That's what's happened with Pam Bondi.
Right.
Pam Bondi has seen so much that could put this man away for the rest of his years and maybe for his grandchildren's years.
All right, T-Bone.
But you can't see it. That's the unfortunate thing.
All right, we got to take our break, T-Bone. Thank you, my brother.
All
Always
right,
good.
All right.
All right, more coming up, folks. You can get in on the conversation. 504-582-9422.
On Auto Trends with JeffCars.com, here's a snippet of some of what we cover. GPS pioneer Gladys West.
We worked long hours computing trajectory orbits and satellite orbits, trying to get the data and everything correct enough.
Auto analyst Mark Bland.
14 new vehicle deals that happen in this country out of every 100 that women don't have a fingerprint on.
To tune in, check out Auto Trends with JeffCars.com. Saturdays at 4 p.m. on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month from the Community Scientist and Rise St. James. This month's focus is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, formed when fuels like oil, gas, wood, or trash are burned. These chemicals can enter the air we breathe and settle into our soil and water. Many PAHs are known carcinogens, adding to the health burdens faced by communities living near industry. Learn how to protect your health at risestjames.org.
Greetings and salutations. I am Edward B. Coulon Smith, chairman of the board of the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to invite you to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon on WBOK to listen in on Black to Business and be a part of the movement that's going on. Thank you.
WBOK. Better pay attention. Powered by Cox Business. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back.
You know, Chuck Hunt on the Facebook feed just made a very good point that I will address. You know, he said we truly don't know what's going on in the medical profession as well with, you know, I guess dishonesty or people covering for one another. I can tell you that I used to handle medical malpractice cases, and I stopped. The last medical malpractice case I handled was 2 years ago. We tried it to a jury. We won over $1 million for our client. But after that trial, I just had enough of it because this is the system with that. So let's say a doctor malpractices on you. You can't even file a lawsuit against that doctor in Louisiana unless you first go to a medical review panel. And so you file a letter or a petition with the Division of Administration in Baton Rouge, and you tell them, hey, look, I think this doctor malpracticed against me. This is what happened, and I want you to investigate it. And what they do is they then have you select an attorney chairperson to sit as the chair of the panel. And after that, then the plaintiff, the person who's complaining about the malpractice, gets to pick a doctor in the same field as the doctor who you think malpracticed. Then the doctor who you think malpracticed gets to pick a doctor in the same field. And those two doctors pick the third doctor to sit on the panel who's also in the same field. So you have these three doctors. They're not independent, okay? They've been picked.
They can be in cahoots.
Cherry-picked either by the complainant, either by the defendant doctor, and then the third by them together. Then you submit all your medical records to this panel, and the panel 9 times out of 10, in the last 34 years I've been practicing law, comes back with a decision that the doctor did not malpractice, or that the doctor malpracticed, but it really caused no harm. Once you get that opinion from the medical review panel, then you have the keys to the courthouse. Then you can file a lawsuit. Usually it takes you 2 to 3 years to get to that point. Then you can finally file a lawsuit. The minute you file your lawsuit, the first thing the defendant does is send discovery to you, written questions to answer, where they ask you, who is your expert who said the doctor malpracticed?
Oh, Lord.
And if you don't have an expert who said the doctor malpracticed, your case gets dismissed. It is so difficult to find a doctor in the state of Louisiana who will testify that another doctor malpracticed that you end up having to go outside of the state of Louisiana to hire an expert. But a jury charge is given to the jury saying you can't give as much value to that out-of-state expert as you do to a local expert.
Why?
That's the jury charge. That's what the legislature has come up with. So there's a jury charge that says, hey, yeah, the plaintiff has an experts from Texas, California, wherever. You can't give that expert as much credibility as you do the Louisiana expert that the local doctor has on his side.
That makes sense.
It is a burden. It is a tremendous burden to overcome. And so when you do finally win, you have spent tens of thousands of dollars on an expert witness from out of town. You've had to work your butt off to get that jury to overcome that jury charge. And, it's just very, very difficult. So now.
And very costly.
Yes, and very costly. And so, and very difficult. Sometimes, 9 times out of 10, you don't win, So many lawyers in New Orleans are no longer even taking medical malpractice cases because they're so difficult to win, which is a shame because it's barring access to the courthouse for people who have legitimate malpractice cases. So, it's such a bad system. I mean, to me, doctors need to police doctors, lawyers need to police lawyers. We need to be honest when a mistake is made. And the person needs to have insurance, and they need to own it, and they need to own it, and they need to pay.
I mean, they pay $80,000 a year for malpractice insurance.
$100,000.
It went up then.
Each doctor or healthcare institution who is considered a qualified healthcare person in the state of Louisiana has to post $100,000 in cash bond or insurance with the PCF in order to get the statutory protection, which is a limit on medical malpractice damages at $500,000. So, I mean, it's getting harder and harder for people who are wronged by doctors and by lawyers to bring those claims.
Make you want to give up anyway.
Well, we can't give
Especially,
up.
but
but
if it's going to take years.
yeah, I know. But I have to tell you, I did give up on the Mad Mal cases. It would have to be something extremely egregious, like I went in to get surgery on my left leg and they operated on the right leg. It's just so hard to get a favorable panel decision on your behalf.
Mm-hmm. Well, I also think that there is going to be some type of litigation that's coming up in here, and I kind of want to base this around the type of litigation that you did with the Kennedy case. Mm-hmm. So where are you with this case?
People don't even want to take those kinds of things. It's a lot of cases that we take, and you know this, we take them because they're the right thing to do.
Yep.
Like we're taking the Harvey office building case because it's just the right thing to do, We took the Kennedy students case because it was the right thing to do.
And you've been working hard for, 2 years now?
Oh, no, Gerard, since 2019.
Is it that long?
It's been that long. And they're fighting me tooth and nail. But a lot of lawyers don't want to take those cases because they don't think there's going to be a big payday at the end to justify all the work they have to put in. But if we don't take these cases that are so important for public policy, if we don't take these cases where we know we've been wronged by a system.
Can you break down, though? Because I know some folks might be listening saying, what happened with the Kennedy case?
Okay, I'll break it down.
Break that down.
So,
because we assume that everybody already knows.
In 2019, the seniors at John F. Kennedy High School at Lake Area thought that they were graduating. They did all the things seniors do, right? They got senior rings. They took senior pictures.
Gowns.
They had senior night. They did all the things that students do in anticipation of moving on to the next step for them.
They were graduating.
They had graduation practice. They actually had a graduation ceremony where hundreds of them crossed the stage and thought they had graduated. Family in the audience, everything.
That's
right, cap and gown, whole
thing. They thought they did.
Only to find out that they were not getting diplomas because within 72 hours of the graduation, administrators at the school had falsified student grades in order to increase the school performance score upon which schools are judged to keep their charter. And this was exposed 72 hours before the graduation, which triggered the state coming in and having to do an audit of all of the seniors' records to see if they indeed were eligible to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, earlier in the year, let me back up, January of the year, one of the employees over at Kennedy, a Dr. Rennell King, had blown the whistle that he thought those same administrators were changing grades in the fall semester. And he blew the whistle to the school board, and he blew the whistle to the charter, and they fired him. And they said, oh, no, they didn't change the grades. It was just a software glitch. Nobody manipulated the grades. Well, come to find out they did. And then they did it again in May, and they got caught. The other thing was 10 Square came in, which was a national charter school operator, came in and did an audit right before the graduation and kept sending emails to the charter telling them, hey, we don't even know who the valedictorian is. The records are not in order. We don't know who's eligible to graduate. Don't hold this graduation. And they still went forward with the graduation. So the kids got audited, and come to find out, half of the class was not eligible to graduate. They started a summer school to try to get the kids eligible to graduate, and some of the kids received the wrong coursework even during the summer school session, which meant they did not graduate and they had to repeat the year.
12th grade.
Yes. Some of them had scholarships to play football, to be in the band, all these different things at various colleges. And they lost those scholarships in large measure because they couldn't get a transcript in time to meet their financial aid deadlines and to
But this
register.
ain't their fault.
It's not the kids' fault at all. And so the audit also revealed that there were similar problems with respect to the underclassmen at the school. They had the same issues with regard to Kennedy having given the kids the wrong classes or not having a certified teacher in the class. or allowing kids to take online classes without supervision, which was against state policy. And so the kids didn't get credit for the coursework that they did, and they had to rectify those problems.
Hold it right there. We're going to come back because this ain't the end of the story.
No.
Y'all need to hear the end of this story. So more coming up, y'all, and you can call in at 504-582-9422. More coming up next.
Campus of Xavier University. WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
Here's what's trending this hour. Gas prices remain on the rise. The national average for a gallon of regular has climbed to $3.84 according to AAA. That's up from $3.79 on Tuesday. A week ago, the national average was right around $3.57. In California, where prices are the highest in the country, drivers are paying $5.56 a gallon on average. Washington State and Hawaii now also have statewide averages above $5. I'm Bree Wood with What's Trending.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. What a day. What a day.
Yeah. So
It
we're
is
talking
Wednesday.
about this Kennedy case. And what ends up happening, Gerard, is we filed suit on behalf of these students. And the charter operator then was New Beginning Schools Foundation, not the charter operator that currently operates Kennedy. I want to make that very clear.
Okay.
And New Beginning Schools Foundation actually admitted that they wronged these kids, and they surrendered their charter. Now, that should be an admission of fault, right? Their lawyers continue to fight this case to this day, even though every witness has come forward to say that they wronged these kids and that they did intentionally change grades and that they did not give them the core curriculum they were supposed to have and that they did cause delays. Despite every witness testifying to that, they're still fighting us in court. So the latest legal battle we had was getting a class certified on behalf of the students and their parents in the classes of 2019 and 2020 because they had similar problems. And they took that all the way to the Louisiana Supreme Court with us fighting them. And now here we are. So now we'll be publishing notice in the next months to notify people that they have a right to participate in the case and preparing that case
But the
for
Supreme
trial.
Court of Louisiana said go for it.
Yes, said go for it. Yeah, exactly. So it's just been a highly contested case, despite all the admissions that were made, and they just refuse to pay these kids. In fact, the defense is arguing that it's the parents' fault and it's the children's fault because the parents should have known their kids were not taking the right classes, and the students should have known that they were not taking the right classes, and the students should have known that they weren't putting in enough time on grad point. That's not the student's role.
No.
You know, even the Orleans Parish School Board's representative has testified that it is not the fault of the students. It was the fault of the charter operator.
So these kids that got these scholarships, whether it was for sports, whether it's for band, they just had to give them back.
They didn't get them. They were not awarded the scholarships because they couldn't finish the
So
process
they didn't have all of
applying.
their credits for their transcripts.
Yeah, for example, you can't go play Division I ball if you're not NCAA eligible. And part of being NCAA eligible is you need to be a graduate. You need to have your diploma. You need to meet certain criteria. Yeah, you got to have a transcript. So, you know, these kids fell through the cracks and they suffered. You know, the valedictorian's deposition and testimony at the class certification hearing had us all in tears because she learned at her deposition that she really was not the valedictorian. And she said...
At a deposition?
Yes. They pulled out her transcript and showed her that she was actually ranked number 3 in the class after the audit. And so she said, I feel like an imposter. I feel like I've been living a lie. I've been applying for internships and not getting them, but now I see why, because I am applying, telling these people I was the valedictorian. Then they request my transcript, and it looks like I'm a liar. And this kid is crying, and she's saying, I worked so hard. I built my whole existence on being the best I could be, and I really thought I had achieved that, and only to learn that I actually wasn't the valedictorian. And I robbed another student who was the valedictorian of that opportunity unknowingly.
So she's worried about the other child.
Yeah.
Just as much as she's worried about her.
It was heartbreaking. And but yeah, we fight on, because you got to take these cases. I mean, even if you know that you're going to spend tons of time and tons of money, sometimes it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah. Let's get Galloway. Galloway is on the line. What you say there, boss man?
Oh, man, what's going on with y'all, man?
What's happening?
I can't call it. Man, it's hippie festival here, man. That South by Southwest stuff.
Oh,
so
man, that's the thing to go to, man. I've been there.
Oh, man.
You don't like it?
You can have all them hippies. Always walking around trying to find something to smoke and drink. Go on somewhere. Get.
Last time I was in Austin, I went to the South by Southwest here. I just wanted to check out some of the bands. They were nice.
Yeah, the music is nice. It's just the people. Them people, man, I just don't deal with hippies.
You got some hippie in you, Galloway. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of hippie in me. It's called Smith & Wesson. and I need to get it out there. But I got some questions for you today, for you and Miss Suzette. Have y'all heard about this new New Orleans drone program?
Drone?
The drone, yeah, like a drone that flies around and takes pictures and observe.
I think that's through the police department, correct?
Yeah, it's through the NOPD.
Yes.
Mayor Helena Moreno is backing them.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, why does Sidney Torres' name pop up so much around this stuff about him having an app? And then they found this private investor that will not share his or her name, said that they put $500,000 into the program that cost $750K. So who is this investor, and why does Sidney Torres have an app that the police may or may not use? They said it's in the French Quarter, and the drones will be flying in the east. So I'm calling y'all to figure out, is any of this stuff true, or have y'all heard about it?
Well, we're pulling it up now that you're talking about it.
Well, I can tell you why Sidney has that app, because he's the one that developed it. He's also the one that started the French Quarter patrols with the little cars that are going, and he funded it himself. I think it was over $300,000 when it first started. Then he released it, and then the city had to pick it up. Now, why he still has that app, or why he's developing and not turning over all the technology that goes along with the French Quarter patrols, I don't know.
Well, the question is, what came first, the chicken or the egg? He developed it first, and then the city picked it up?
Yes.
Or the city said they wanted it and told him they wanted it, and then he developed it, and now we're going to fund it?
No, he developed it and worked with the French Quarter management.
Well, the city is saying that they're moving toward using drones as part of law enforcement and public safety efforts. These drones can monitor large crowds like festivals and parades, respond quickly to emergencies, provide real-time video to police, assist in searches and investigations. And they said to think of it as like an eye in the sky. The supporters say it'll create faster response times, officer safety, better crime prevention, managing major events like Mardi Gras more efficiently. In a city with limited resources, technology is going to be used to fill the gaps. But the concern is, anytime you introduce surveillance technology, we have to ask, where's the line? Because drones can also mean continuous monitoring, data collection on citizens, potential overreach in certain communities, like maybe our community.
Well, what they're basically doing is following I think the lead of the other parishes that are right here with us. I know that Kenner has been doing it. Jefferson Parish has started doing it as well. And Kenner showcased theirs at the Night Out Against Crime when they were at the location. The only reason I know all of this is because I was there, because they have all the little toys, and their drone program and the drones that they have are very powerful. They put that drone up about 300-400 feet in the air and can zoom in on you tight. And whenever they're surveilling or whoever, if they're looking for somebody and they find out who they are, they can push a button on that on the drone itself, and it will lock into that person and follow that person without there being an operator.
I guess the question for me then, though, is when are the drones being used? Where are the drones being used? Who's controlling the footage? How long is the data stored? And where are the safeguards against abuse?
My question is, how far are we going to go with this? Where is invasion of privacy? Say that person the person they look for jumps in your backyard. You come outside. Maybe the drone operator is not as proficient as supposed to be. Or we going to go to manned drones. What I mean by that, arm them with 50 cals. Arm them with, I'm serious when I say this. Because I know drones, because I've operated them since 2003. You can put as small as a 9mm bullet on them or big as a 50 cal bullet. Or we going to use them drones in a car chase to try to disable a vehicle. I just don't like the big brother eye in the sky stuff. Everywhere you go, we are getting, if you ever been to England, you will know every block, every corner in England, there's Big Brother there.
But I'm telling you, though, Galloway, that many of the law enforcement agencies that you're talking about, including New Orleans, are already using them.
I've been seeing drones on General de Gaulle Drive, but I assumed that was ICE.
NOPD.
My thing is when does invasion of privacy and our rights stop when it's using drone technology?
But what's the difference in that and having a helicopter that's surveilling? Because we got helicopters that surveil. Look at California. In California, if there's a high-speed chase or somebody that a sheriff's office there has its own helicopter, and they just shine the light down on you.
That's doing criminal work. Me sitting out in my backyard, I should not have a drone flying over me. That's my issue. Now, I'm not saying that I'm totally against them. I know how them things operate. I know how some of those cameras, depending on the camera you have, I can see up in your house. If your blinds ain't closed, I can see everything you doing from a couple of 100 feet away. That's my problem. Some of these people that's operating these drones, and who is operating the drone? Have y'all ever talked to somebody that's a drone operator in the NOPD, and they tell you what they're looking for or have they seen? I just think the public should be more aware.
I think we also need to be a little leery of one business that's getting all of the lucrative contracts in a city that happens to be a campaign donor. So now we're going to have the trash contract and we're going to have the drone contract. And where does it end? Where does it end? How much political influence are you buying over this administration?
Yeah, I don't think that Torres is going to have the drone contract. I think the drones basically, and if I'm not clear on this, if you read the story, I have not. I kind of paid attention to it when it first was being brought to the light. And what it was saying that the NOPD is going to operate drones and they're going to have their operators themselves. It didn't say anything about Sidney Torres. Now, it did say something about him having an app for crime in the French Quarter. And that's been years ago. That's not nothing new.
I'm just skeptical of all this. And my last thing I want to say is your mayor, I would say that because she's not mine. She tried to figure out a way to find $200 million to fix the pipes. And she's talking about these taxes and fees and all this other stuff. But last time I checked, doesn't the Sewage and Water Board owe the city of New Orleans money?
$14 million.
So why can't she start by using that $14 million?
So
trying to figure out a way.
So the folks from the Sewage and Water Board are now complaining because the city has said we want that money back. And what they're also saying is the fact that, hey, you all are also telling us that you want us to fix these pipes and making sure that we need $20 million. That $14 million was going to help us. So we'll give you the money back, but will you lend it back to us pretty quickly? So I'm like, what's the need of daggone giving it back then?
Exactly. It's just a mess. Well, that's what happens. And once again, when you stay at home and don't vote, that's what you get.
So I don't know if you saw this or not, Galloway, but it was interesting that we had a very good conversation with Mr. Richards the other day, last week, about saving the money with the trash contracts and what was his proposal. Then all of a sudden we saw that the Louisiana legislative auditor, who's here looking at our budget, kind of paid attention to the fact that there was some plan that was presented to save the city money with the trash contracts. I think that plan that was presented came from Alvin Richards.
And I wonder where they found out about it.
I wonder where they heard it.
It looks like they were listening to this show.
Yes.
Because it came out the day after or 2 days after we did the show.
Yeah. So the other part of that is, if they're listening to the show and they're saying this, I want you to hear me when I say, if you really want your money back, how come the city has not asked Entergy for the $200 million that we lent them to shore up the grid? We lent them $200 million to shore up the grid. How come you all have not asked for, even if you don't ask for all of it, a portion of it back? That's your money right there.
Are you talking about the loan where nobody knew about it besides Helena and JP?
And supposedly it was a lawsuit that we won.
Yeah, that's that same amount that same money that nobody in the city council knew about it except those two. So I'm telling you now, Mayor Moreno, stop playing airhead. You know where the money is. You know exactly what's going on. You've been in City Hall for 8 years. Now you're in charge, and now you're sitting there trying to figure out, I don't know, or I'm trying to get, or I need to see, or I'm trying to do this and that. You know exactly what's going on. Stop playing with these people. All right, Brother Gerod, I'm up out of here. I got me some smoked pork chops on the grill, man.
Yes, indeed. You got pork chops on today. Yes, indeed, Galloway.
With a 40 ounce.
With a 40 ounce. All right, OE.
All right, my brother. Take it easy.
Later. Yes, indeed. So, yeah, I mean, it's the truth.
I find it interesting that right after we have the interview with Alvin Richards, and he comes on and he talks about the fact that he pointed out
he can save him $19
that
million.
He can save him $19 million, that all of a sudden the legislative auditor is talking about that.
You find it interesting?
I find it interesting.
Why you find it interesting?
Because it's as if somebody's listening.
Shh. Be quiet. Don't tell them.
Well, we gave them a whole plan with respect to the New Orleans water crisis the other day. We told them what they needed to do. We gave them a plan of attack on what to fix first and what to address first and how to deal with it. And I guess we'll see that come out soon, too.
Shh.
As a matter of fact, they did release a plan. We need to look and see if that was the plan that we gave them on the air.
Be quiet.
Let me pull up this plan and match it up with what we said.
You are not being quiet.
It's as if somebody's listening.
Let me take Terry. What you say, Terry?
Hey, Gerard, and how you doing, Ms. McMerritt?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Look, I heard what y'all just last said about the idea. See, all right, now I heard today that on the news that what is his name? Councilman, the president. What is his name?
J.P.
Crazy
Morrell.
Man.
Talking about Morrell? With J.P. Morrell?
Yeah, Morrell. Look, I think he stole my idea too, Gerard. Look what he said. He said if there's a lot of the major events are going to start canceling coming down here, and I wrote that on y'all page last week. I said let there be a major catastrophe where the the water just buckles, and just, pop open and the water just go everywhere.
Oh, we had
during
another
the
main that
parade.
burst today.
Oh, see what I'm saying? So he comes up with that today, and that tells me, like, you and this Dagnara say, he be listening to this station. I'm telling you, he does.
But my whole point is, stop taking money from the people that live here and nickel and diming us, and get the money from these multi-billion-dollar corporations that owe it to you in the first place.
Well, we gave them a plan for that
100%.
too. We gave them a plan for policing these major events that come to town, taxing the people who are having the events and people who are serving the food and making all the money over there at the events, and stop expecting us, the taxpayer, to pay for NOPD overtime.
Mm-hmm.
We gave them a plan. We told them how to handle it.
That's all I got. I just wanted to throw that in because I like what Mr. Dagnara said. And they that shows me they do be listening to this station.
Oh, well. We're gonna strike a pose in a minute.
All right.
All right, Terry.
Maybe we should send them a bill.
Hold on. Let's strike a pose.
A consulting fee.
There you go.
Maybe we should send them a consulting fee.
For those of you that could not see, we did a nice pose. You want to do it again?
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is. Mm-hmm. You going to break now? Why are you shaking your head? Because you couldn't get in on the pose? Why don't you come over here and get on the pose?
I'm good.
Come in and get on the pose.
I'm good.
You don't want to get on the pose?
Look at this. They made the same connection I made the other day. So the pipes bursting into earthquakes. They all listening. Hello, Helena. Hello, JP.
Go to break.
You hear the music, right?
Yeah.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
More coming up, y'all.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityInvestments.com. Lion Forge Entertainment is an Academy Award-winning Black-owned film studio that focuses on diverse stories. The company is working on several new projects aimed at younger audiences, and Lion Forge founder and CEO David Stewart II says you might be surprised where he's seeing opportunities with Gen Z.
In some ways, some of this stuff is actually kind of coming full circle. I was just circulating with our team some articles that have just come out around Gen Z going back to the movies, and that's their new interest point right now. So yes, YouTube is growing, and a lot of eyeballs are going there to kind of find content, but they want to go to the movies because they want this unique experience that they haven't really had, because they've had the screens in front of them all the time. They've had that on-demand content. So, it's interesting how things are kind of coming full circle.
Lion Forge Entertainment won its Oscar for short film Hair Love, a story about a black father learning to style his daughter's hair for the first time. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Want consistent color for every job? Milo's Pro Rewards members get a 20% paint discount on future purchases after paint annual qualifying spend reaches $3,000. Plus, order eligible in-stock paint and paint supplies by 2 p.m. for free same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Improving is easy at Lowe's. Excludes spray paint and mist tints. More exclusions, terms, and conditions apply. Subject to change. Details at Lowe's.com/terms. Same-day delivery valid in select zip codes. Subject to driver availability. Details at Lowe's.com/same-day delivery.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
The New Orleans City Council recently lambasted 2 parade crews for despicable acts of incivility, and rightfully so. Mardi Gras is supposed to bring out the best in New Orleans. Families gather along parade routes. Children sit high on ladders hoping to catch their first beads. Neighbors laugh, share food, and celebrate a tradition that belongs to all of us. But this year, a few disgraceful actions have reminded us that even our greatest celebration can be tarnished by thoughtless behavior. one parade rider reportedly threw a whiskey bottle into the crowd, striking a 4-year-old child in the head and sending that child to the hospital for stitches. And in another parade, riders tossed dolls, widely condemned as racist imagery, into a crowd that included black children. That is not Mardi Gras. Riders are given a special privilege to represent their crews and take part in a celebration watched by the entire world. But privilege comes with responsibility. Throwing beads is tradition. Throwing bottles is reckless. Throwing racist imagery is shameful. The vast majority of crews understand that, and they work hard to preserve the joy and spirit of Carnival. But those who abuse the privilege of riding in our parades dishonor the tradition itself. Mardi Gras should leave children smiling, not injured, and not humiliated. Because the real spirit of Carnival isn't just celebration. It's community, respect, and common decency. And New Orleans should never settle for anything less. Mardi Gras is one of the greatest traditions this city has ever given the world. But every great tradition comes with responsibility. And those who dismiss that responsibility shouldn't be riding in our parades. This is Norman Robinson off the top.
Hey, this is D. Riley from the 90s Hits R&B Jams. Make sure you listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday night from 7 until 9 p.m. I'll be giving you the best R&B jams from the 90s. That's right, all your favorites and more. With me, D. Riley, your host of the 90s Hits, right here on WBOK 1230 AM. Or listen online at WBOK1230.com. WBOK, the station you listen to longer.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
The Ron Kelly Show. Real talk, bold truth. Tune in for your weekly dose of unapologetic conversations that don't dodge the truth or dilute the message. Stay informed on the issues that matter most on The Ron Kelly Show, every Monday at 7 p.m. on WBOK 1230 AM.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. It is Wednesday. Gerard Stevens with you. Suzette Bagnara's in the building having some conversation with you.
I have pulled up the New Orleans City Council and Sewage and Water Board's 6-point plan of action to address the water pipe issue.
All right.
I have also pulled up the plan that we proposed on the radio last week. If you go back and you listen to the show when we talked about the Sewage and Water Board, you may recall that we suggested that they replace the oldest pipes first, targeted pipe replacement. Replace 1% to 2% of pipes every year. This renews the entire system over 50 to 75 years. We also suggested that priority placement should focus on the 100-year-old cast iron mains, large transition mains, which are 36 to 48 inches in areas with repeated breaks. Listen to what the first step of the plan is that they've come up with.
Go for it.
Immediately address urgent risk transition mains. Conduct a pilot test on the oldest mains first. Issue an RFI for information on emerging technologies and develop the next set of priority projects based on the information. Evaluate the hydraulic conditions in targeted areas and conduct a citywide conditions assessment. Boy, that sounds familiar. The second thing we suggested on air was a major cause of the pipe bursting was water pressure surges, and the city should install pressure-reducing valves and smart controls. So guess what the next step is?
What?
They're going to determine emerging technologies.
What?
What? Where did they get that idea? I just don't know, Gerard. You know, and then we suggested that they use modern pipe materials, like putting a pipe within a pipe. Guess what they're going to start doing first? They're going to put a pipe within a pipe.
And then somebody's smoking a pipe.
And I don't know how they came up with that idea. And then we suggested that they put experts on the Sewage and Water Board, remember? And we actually went through the kind of experts they needed, like civil water infrastructure engineers, hydrologists and environmental scientists, infrastructure finance experts, utility operations professionals, public health experts, and construction infrastructure project management experts, and climate and resistance experts. Remember we suggested all of that? Guess what they're going to do?
What?
They're going to put together a commission
of
experts to advise on how they're going to fix the water mains.
What? And your check is coming when?
I don't know. Okay. But this was released. This was released by them on March 18, 2026. If you recall, we did a show on this. I'm looking for the exact date that we did the show. Looks like we did the show on March the 17th.
What?
The day before.
How much we getting? That's not a whole lot. That's not a whole lot.
I just think it's very interesting, but I'm happy we've come up with a solution. I'm happy they have come up with a solution.
I want to know how much. I want you to talk about how much we're getting because I need them to listen to how much we're supposed to be. I don't know. And then we
talked about the next time we talked about the trash contract, right?
Yep, how much
and
we
talked about the $19 million difference.
Going.
And then all of a sudden they've come up with a plan to find what? $19 million. Oh my goodness.
And my cousin too, because he was the one that talked about hey, this is how they used to do with the pipe in the pipe.
Right.
There you go, right there.
He came on here and he's discussed it. And that's what they're gonna do.
What you say, cousin? You getting a check? You getting a check and they cut us out, bro? You ain't tell nobody?
No, I'm not getting the check. But look, this is what I want to share with you. We had a large pipe bust by the church, Jackson and Magnolia. The water ran for over 2 weeks before they start working on it. One of the problems is the maintenance crew. I'm going to tell you how ridiculous it is. Now, this was Sunday. I observed the operation. And just for the listeners, I graduated from college engineering, so I'm familiar with some engineering kind of work and trained in different fields. They had 2 full crews out there working. One crew looking at the other crew. They had 2 city inspectors out there. And I asked them, I said, why you got all these people out here? You know, the city, when they dig a hole, they take that dirt and put it in a dump truck and they leave with it.
Right. And
then they come back and they dump the river sand and some gravel. Once the dump trucks dump the gravel, why are they still there? They need to go somewhere else because this is time and a half. The supervisor was on double shift. You hear what I'm telling you? Double shifts. Why you cannot change your personnel, your shift, so that you don't have to pay double shift? The money is just so waste. The lady told me, she said, you know, this is about a $500,000 job. I said, like, what? And Gerod, I took the picture. They have 3 pieces of pipe they put down in that ground. 3. Now, you just need to put 1 straight piece and couple it from end to end. They need to reevaluate how they do the work they do. Why they couldn't use the existing dirt, put it in the hole, and then, you know, fill it up with the rest of it, you know, to balance it off. And the lady told me it's called infusion when they put a pipe within a pipe. I said, well, at least that would quicken the work and just couple it on each end so that the pipe won't shift once you put it in and do the infusion. But, you know, we talked about running the pipe as far as you could within the pipe. And what they also should be doing is using a cutoff valve because the pipe going to break somewhere else and you use the cutoff valve to cut it off and then deal with repairing the pipe wherever the break is. The cutoff valve, she told me, was at Claiborne and around Jefferson, that controls the water that all the way to Jackson and Magnolia. Your cutoff valves are too far, so when you're repairing pipes, you should put in cutoff valves so that the other area will continue to get water, not cutting off, all the other areas, for not having water there.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to retrain the process of workers. You don't need to have all those workers standing around doing nothing. And like I said, they're on the clock. This Sunday, that's time and a half normal. It's just a waste of money. I'm telling you, it was irritating to me to see all those people just standing around.
I remember when I asked the same question that you're bringing up now, several years ago, and I understood it a little bit better when I asked the question, so maybe I can explain it to you, that each person on that truck has a specialty. And the other thing they got to do is make sure that whatever man is going in that hole, they got to look out for that man, because you don't want to have that man in that hole and that area where they dug up collapses. It'll kill them. Because that's why they have, I don't know if you've ever seen it, when they let somebody go down in one of those manholes, they have somebody standing on top, usually wrenching the person down with the pulley. And then there's another guy standing on the side. He's not doing anything except standing there. They have to, by code, be able to stand there and make sure that that person is safe. Now, is that 5 or 6 guys? No, that is not. But each one of those persons, I think, has a specialty in what he or she does.
Look, G, listen to me. When you dig a hole, before a man go in the hole, they drive pilings all the way around that hole.
Doesn't
so
matter.
The hole not going to collapse.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't happen all that same way all the time.
No, G. Once they put that pilings down, the dirt cannot collapse on you. I'm telling you, I was there. I know this go way back of what they're doing and the process. Also, you need to have a deeper hole, at least 2 feet deep, at least underneath the pipe, so that you can pump the water out so that the guys won't get wet. And they have a little platform that they use so the guys are not really in the water, but they're working off the platform. I took a picture of it. I'll show it to you so you'll know. In fact, the business, why don't you go where they're making repairs at right now so you can see what I'm talking about?
Well, Leondis, and they're just making a news story that Leondis, where we're saying that they had a busted main, is not. They said that they're working on it. Said it might appear that it's a busted main, but it is not. Said it's actually routine maintenance on a 12-inch pipe.
Look, look. One of my church members have sewage and water board experience. Years ago, the truck driver that brought the backhoe out was not a backhoe operator.
Right.
So one of the changes they made, the truck driver that brings the backhoe out also could operate the backhoe. That's why you don't have the guy that was leaning on the shovel, what we're talking about. And I tell you, they had 2 full crews. They had 2 full crews out there. One crew worked, the other crew was a spectator crew. Time and a half, it was Sunday. I'm telling you, I know what I'm talking about. The 2 truck drivers that had brought the dirt, those dump truck drivers don't need to be standing around there. They could go do some dumping somewhere else. You have a work crew that works, that do their specialty, the one that was connecting the pipe. The ones up top was cutting the pipe. I'm good with all that. When I tell you 2 full crews, they had 2 full crews out there, and they had 3 pipe cutters, and 2 of them wasn't even working. The guy couldn't get them started. And you got to maintain your equipment that you have out there. The guy had to repair the equipment to use it to cut the pipe. I'm serious. I'm telling you, you need to go look. This is not rocket science, how you make repairs.
Okay.
Straight up.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, all right, cuz. I
you,
told
brother.
you I wanted to talk to you about that sodium water board stuff.
All right.
You need some experts. Wait. You need people who know how a crew should be operated.
How a crew should be operated?
How the repair crew,
Oh.
should be operated. Just like your technician. He has to know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Not go there just playing with the button. I'm not picking on nobody. I'm just saying people need to know what they need to be doing. It's an order in which you do stuff.
All right, cool. Thank you, sir.
All
Appreciate
right.
you much. All right. Shed.
Hey, good evening, Gerard and Ms. McNaris.
How you doing?
I'm always fighting for the people to get our hands dirty. They don't run behind a garbage truck no more. I mean, things of he keeps talking about way back. I love my neighbor, but he talking about way back. If you have never been fixing stuff, especially special stuff, you don't know nothing about it. Because you got plumbers. Sometimes you have to have welders. You got all kind of people on them crews. And when he's talking about the man that dumped the truck off needs to be standing around, man, that's part of the stuff he's talking about is against OSHA. OSHA and those are civil service jobs too. So everybody has a specific job.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like people picking on people that, especially talking about stuff you don't know nothing about.
Well, I just know that
Thank
a
you.
lot of those guys that are on that truck, they're on there with specific jobs. And if
You're
they
right.
if they don't need that specific job right then and there, they may be sitting around. Now,
And Gerard,
I guess the question is, can they be doing something else? Maybe so, but that may not be the reason that they're out there.
And Gerard, the backhoe, if anybody has ever seen the pressure of a backhoe, what kind of strength that thing has, that man that's operating that backhoe, that man in the hole, he's got his life in his hand when he's down that hole.
Mm-hmm.
So you need people there for safety reasons, man. When you worked at the oil refinery, they always had extra people there. Sometimes all your job was to just stand up and make sure nothing catch on fire. Or either you go to a hole and hole watch. Man, stop picking on people. Love y'all, man.
All right, Ted. Thank you, brother.
Can I touch on one more thing that's in the news today that I think's important? Mm-hmm. So we're watching a quiet but very dangerous shift happening right now in Louisiana law. There's a bill moving through the legislature. It's Senate Bill 97, and it sounds harmless on the surface, but it's proposed by that same legislator that's trying to get rid of the New Orleans judges. And here's what he's trying to do now. This bill is about whether you get a jury trial or a judge trial. Sometimes a case is highly technical. Sometimes emotions are running high. Sometimes the facts are complicated. And a trained judge might be better instead of a jury to be the fairest decision maker, in that case. But under this proposed law, you no longer get the choice as a defendant. Let me say that again. You no longer get the choice as the defendant.
What do you mean?
Under the new law, here's the issue. Under the new law, the prosecutor will decide whether or not it's a jury trial or a judge trial.
Well, you know what that comes from. That comes from one of our, I think that was one of our judges that supposedly had more judge trials.
Right, than jury trials.
And found those folks innocent.
Right, he's targeting another black judge.
Yep.
So Louisiana prosecutors could soon be able to force cases to be tried to juries instead of judges under a proposal that has cleared its first hurdle in the state legislature. Same guy,
But
Senator Jay Morris of West Monroe.
Yeah, but it seems like to me, Governor Landry's issues are being touted as an issue that's in the legislature. He actually took his problems and he found him a water boy that he could get to
carry the
introduce
water
this.
for him.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's specifically targeting things that have happened in Orleans Parish.
Yes.
So, an example would be like, for tactical reasons, you decide you want a judge to try a case involving a DWI, and the prosecutor could say, no, it's going to a jury.
But I think that you are messing with people's constitutional rights. You should have the choice to pick whether you want to have a jury trial or whether you want to have a judge trial.
Oh, it's definitely going to impact the rights of a criminal defendant. That choice matters sometimes.
Yep.
Sometimes you want that judge to decide your fate instead of 12 people you don't know, because you know how that judge has ruled on similar cases in the past. And you may get a better break if you go in front of the judge who you know how they might rule on certain issues.
And ruling in front of, to try to get rid of these judges, just think about the number of folks that, are now going to come up and say, look, I want my right to a speedy trial.
The Constitution was designed to give the accused certain protections to level the playing field. And this Senate Bill 97 is taking that right away.
I really don't. I had the opportunity to talk to, I'm not going to call the names, but I did have the opportunity to talk to some law professionals that are paying attention to this. And they were like, we don't know what to do. He got the votes already.
They can't do much because they can't get involved in political issues. But we can.
Yep.
We can take it on for them.
Yeah. All right, more coming up, y'all. We got to take a break.
AURN News.
I'm Ebony McMorris. In a break inside President Trump's national security circle, National Counterterrorism Director Joe Kent has resigned and sent a letter to the administration. He wrote that he cannot, in good conscience, support the ongoing war in Iran, arguing Iran posed no imminent threat to the U.S. and warned the conflict was launched under pressure from Israel and its American allies. He also wrote that earlier in the administration, Trump understood Middle East wars drained American lives and resources and said he feared repeating what he called the mistake of Iraq. Kent, a decorated combat veteran who lost his wife Shannon during a deployment in Syria, added that he could not support sending another generation into what he described as a war that serves no clear U.S. interest. He urged the president to reconsider the path forward. His resignation, less than a year into the job, marks the first known departure of a senior Trump official over the war. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
New Orleans, the city of festivals and second chances. This is Mr. Rocky of Faithers in Jesus the Christ, inviting everyone to come to the table of grace. No matter where you are or what you're dealing with, guilt, bad habits, mistakes, or heavy hearts, Jesus still calls us his friend, and his grace is waiting for us. Tune in to WBOK, 12:30 a.m., or watch live on Facebook or Instagram. We'll reflect on his work on the cross, his resurrection, his ascension, and the hope of his return for we who that believe and have received him by faith. So join us at the table of grace, where mercy is fresh, forgiveness is real, and grace is served for people like you and me.
LifeCare provides valuable whole life insurance to cover final expenses such as medical bills, burial costs, and unpaid debt. A final expense insurance policy is fast, easy, affordable life insurance that's available to anyone between the ages of 50 and 80. No medical exams, no lengthy questionnaires, and no waiting period. The application process is quick and easy. You can even apply without having to undergo a medical examination. Just answer a few questions and we'll do the rest. With the average funeral cost skyrocketing to $11,000 and Social Security only paying $255, you need simple, affordable peace of mind for you and your whole family. Don't leave behind unpaid expenses that, if left unattended, will burden your family tremendously. Benefits include a guaranteed premium that will never increase, a guaranteed cash value, and a guaranteed death benefit that can never decrease. To find out how you can get final expense insurance with a guaranteed lifetime rate lock, call LifeCare at 800-571-9955. That's 800-571-9955. 800-571-9955.
WBOK, online at WBOK1230.com.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back to the program here. Gerard Stevens with you, along with the attorney extraordinaire in the building, Suzette Bagnaris. And, of course, we seem to be on top of a lot of stuff that's happening in the city.
And we seem to be making some good suggestions on how to address it.
I got a good suggestion today.
Oh, yeah? What is it?
Our mailing address for our checks. Because all of this information is
I think you should give them the mailing address.
Yeah,
They
19.
can also
they
drop
send
off
it to-
some candy for the Easter baskets.
So let's talk about that for a minute because that's important. And that it's not a solicitation, but it could end up being a solicitation. So excuse me if it does. I think that when we celebrate, Easter, when we celebrate Resurrection Day, whichever one you prefer, I think in a minute we got to start thinking about the children that love to go out in the field. They love to have those Easter baskets. We dress our kids up, put their best on. We do what we do, and that's just been a tradition no matter who you are. Of course, we get the pushback from folks to be like, stop calling it Easter because it's Resurrection Sunday. I understand that. That's your religious beliefs. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But guess what, y'all? It's going to be around what I call it, whether I call it Easter, whether I call it Resurrection Day, it's still going to be around. But it's this celebration that we do for the kids.
Right.
And this year, we decided that we're going to take this on ourselves.
Right. And, parents are having it tough right now.
Right.
So what we thought we'd do was we were able to get about 300 Easter baskets, the
Yes.
Easter grass,
The
everything
eggs.
we need, the eggs, everything we need to stuff it. And, we even got a donation from Costco to help us to, put some candy in these baskets. I'm going to also put, thousands of dollars or whatever towards the candy. But I would really appreciate if people could help us to bless some children.
If it's
this
just a
Easter.
bag of candy.
Right.
Just a
Exactly.
bag.
Just something to say, hey, we're thinking about you. You are important, and we want to do something nice for you. And
'Cause we
take the
got the
burden
baskets.
off your parents this Easter.
Because we got the baskets.
Right.
We've got the plastic eggs that you can open up and get the toy or whatever it is, the treat out of it. We got the grass. I think I'm going to dress up.
As the bunny. That's what you said. You said you were going to commit to be the bunny.
And Cynthia Wiggins said, if you dress up as the bunny, I'm going to bring you the bunny outfit.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
So I said, okay, I'm going to do it.
I think that that's a good thing for you to do, Gerard.
So instead of being out in the middle of the field and letting the kids just go out here and do it, I know that we're
going
working
to
on.
deliver it to the schools.
We're going to deliver it to the schools.
And
but
daycare centers.
But I
Head
also
starts.
think that we're going to have a little bit left over. So I would like us to be able to say, hey, just pass by, maybe do a drive-by. I probably can get some of our law enforcement friends to direct traffic that day because it's going to cause some type of traffic buildup.
Yeah,
right
like when
there
we
in that
gave
area.
away the school supplies in August. Yeah.
And so we're going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
We've already loaded up the hallways of the law firm with the not with the candy, but with the product that goes along with the candy, from the baskets to the
You can
eggs.
see videos of all of it on my
Yeah,
Facebook.
Yeah, and it's big. It's going to be pretty big. So we want you to help us out. Let's make sure that our kids get their treats for the Easter holiday. We got about, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So we'll work on that and where you can drop it off of, because I think if we drop it off at the law firm,
Yeah, they could drop it off there.
1929 Jackson Avenue. We're usually there. Don't leave it outside. We never see it. Don't leave it outside. So
Just
come,
ring the bell.
just
We'll
ring
come
the
get
bell.
it, or call us, and we'll come out to the car to get it.
And let's do this. And I think that everybody being a part of it too is important too.
We always talk about helping ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Let's help the kids.
So that's what we're
Let's
trying
help
to
the
do. We're
moms
trying
and dads
to help our own community.
that can't afford it this year, and we'll do it for them.
Right.
There you go. All
There you
right.
go.
The other thing too that I want to bring up is the fact that we have a big old party coming, baby. It's gonna be a big old party.
He is so excited about this party.
I really am. I have not thrown this type of party because this is gonna be a change for me. I am turning 60. My birthday is actually March 26th, which is gonna be that Thursday. But we're gonna have a big party. Don't y'all get it twisted now, because I know somebody else is also excited about this party too.
You drag me kicking and screaming.
I ain't dragging you kicking and
I don't
screaming.
normally celebrate my birthday. I don't normally have a big party. I don't really do anything like that.
Me neither.
But it was suggested that
her birthday
I
is
celebrate.
1 week after mine. And
Right.
I'm like, wait a minute. It ain't just me. It's you too. So let's do it together. So our good friends, Barry, and all the folks that work over at the Vault Nola on the West Bank.
And Miss Millie.
I can't forget Miss Millie.
Can't forget Miss Millie.
Because Miss Millie is the one that really made it happen.
Correct.
I ain't giving you no credit, Barry. This is Miss Millie's credit. Said, come on, let's have a party then. So we're going to have a party.
And we called our good friend,
DJ
DJ Polo 504.
And he going to be the one that's doing all the music.
Yeah.
And
you know he can do it. He will throw it down.
I've seen everybody on the internet saying, okay, we coming. Come on.
It's an all-white party.
All white. Wear your white. Don't come in there and talk about something. I got my fuchsia on. You're not coming
Some
in.
people say they're wearing pink.
Mm-mm.
You know, Gerard said white. We
White.
ordered a cake.
Yes.
It's going to be real nice.
We got the buffet.
Yeah, got the buffet.
All you got to do is come in, celebrate, have some fun, dance a little, cut a little rug. I got a lot of folks. It's the who's who of the city that say they coming. So we want to see y'all, want to see y'all. That is not this Saturday, but next Saturday over at the Vault.
March 28th from 8 to midnight.
501 Verrett Street. Come on. 8 to 12 midnight, that's early.
Because you said your ass was old.
I am. Can't be out all night long. Got to go to church in the morning, too. Y'all come on out, have some fun. All right? That's it. That's all I had to say. So, and now we got to get out of here. All right, folks. Thank y'all so much for being a part of the conversation on today. We'll bring up a good conversation on tomorrow, too. Make sure that you're a part of it. 4 p.m. right here on WBOK. We'll see you tomorrow.